Good afternoon from Los Angeles and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the charts of Nvidia as well as StoneCo and Tempur. But first, we want to take a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Quorum here, and today I'm joined by Justin Nielsen. And Justin, we saw the major indexes strengthen into the close, finishing up about 0.3% across the board. And I mean, it's been a very interesting year in the stock market, but this past month in particular has just been so strong.
Yeah, and don't forget, we started very strong at the beginning of this year, so it's kind of like the bookends to the year, really. But, you know, at the beginning of the year, that was due to the 2018 correction, so it was really a rebound off of that. And now what we've seen is a lot of strength since October, and that kind of made this into really a fantastic year. The NASDAQ composite basically closing up about 35%, S&P 500 up 28.5%. Those aren't small numbers. I mean, you know, you have a couple years like that, and you know, you're in business. So, you know, the recent action this week was a little bit less than desirable in terms of you know, not going up. You know, if you would have gotten used to that, but it was actually very constructive because you don't want to go up too much too fast because then you get overheated. And so I actually look at, you know, what we've seen this last week or two as very positive action that you kind of took a little bit of a break.
That's right. And let's put this in perspective of the past decade, because even though we have had such a strong year, like you said, we were coming off of Q4 2018 of a big drop here. So what is your anticipation of perhaps the feeling of being too extended at this point?
Right. And a lot of people are looking at the last decade, basically saying, okay, look, where have we come from 2009? We've been running this whole time. And, you know, a lot of people are focusing on that and saying that this has got to be the end. It can't keep on going like this. But what you have to remember, and we're showing a monthly chart right now, so what you have to remember is that this market has had a number of breaks. So after the financial crisis in 2008, and that's on the left-hand side of your chart, you had 2009 run up. You had flat action for over a year, basically, in 2011, global recession fears. You went up for a little bit. Another area of really flat action in 2015, over a year. You had like a mini flash crash in there in August, and then you went up some more, and then we had really flat action for a lot of 2018, you know, basically 22 months on the S&P 500 where you were flat and not making progress. So because you have those areas of flat action, that's enough to sometimes kind of keep things from getting overheated. So what we're seeing on the monthly chart is kind of what we were just talking about with the daily chart. It's it's almost like the fractal pattern.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, it's very important to make sure you're staying in step with the market and listening to our analysis as we go, because you want to be making the right decisions and not get too bearish too quickly or too bullish.
And right now we're very bullish overall because you know what we've seen is you can kind of see that from that 2018 flat action, we're kind of breaking out from that area. So we do think that we could run up from here. However, we will change our minds if the market tells us we're wrong. You know, we're very, you know, very quick to do that. We're not, you know, stuck to our, you know, planting our flag in the sand and saying, okay, we're not going to veer from this.
Right. We're going to be following the trend very closely. Now let's take a look at a few individual names that have been on our radar, starting off with Nvidia, which gained about 1.3% today after a relatively significant decline in yesterday's session. And this comes on the heels of a price target increase. And the chip sector has definitely been an area of a lot of strength.
Yes, exactly. So whenever you're looking at how a market is holding up, it's a good idea to take a look at some of the stronger sectors. And chips is definitely one of those strong sectors right now. So Nvidia had actually a lot of the chips got upgrades today. And it was interesting because they ended up starting the day out down, but they snapped back very quickly. In the first hour of trading, they were up already. And yeah, we were covering them on IBD Live today. And so Nvidia, you can see that with the reversal here. So it's just a good idea to kind of keep your eye on these. You know, it's extended right now, as most of the chips are, the leading chips are at least. Inphi, I think, is still maybe in a position to be a setup. But just keep in mind, you know, that this is the leading sector, and if you look for other opportunities here, and also that can be a good gauge of how the market is faring. So with these doing well, the market, you know, could do well as well next year.
That's right, and continue to look for those setups in that sector. And turning in a gain of about 4% today was StoneCo, ticker STNE. And this is Berkshire Hathaway holding. But this one's been a little bit of a wild one since the breakout.
So this is another strong area, the payment processors. Right. So you've got MasterCard, Visa. If you want kind of the slower, more tame movers, Fiserv is in there as well. And then on the other side, you have like StoneCo, PagSeguro, and some of these Brazilian names that they move a lot more. Now, what StoneCo did is it had this breakout that kind of failed a little bit. It came right back to its 50-day moving average line, but it got support there, and now it's kind of recovered. It's back above that previous buy point, and it's kind of looking a lot stronger. So it did take that little pause. If it can go from here, that would be great, and maybe say, hey, that's why Warren Buffett is called the Oracle from Omaha.
Exactly.
Right?
And this is our stock of the day today,
It is.
so make sure you check out that story for even more detail on StoneCo. And last but not least, let's take a look at Tempur Sealy, ticker TPX. This one is trading about 3% below a potential buy point of a cup with handle base. I think we've been tracking this one since it's been finding support at that 50-day and building the base, and now we're seeing a handle.
Yeah, and so what we call this is, and you can't quite see the whole thing, but on the left-hand side you see the beginning of a base or the end of a base. It breaks out and then immediately forms another base. We call this a base-on-base pattern, when you don't make much progress before you form another base. And those can be very good because it's almost like a spring winding up, and it's just like it's ready, it wants to go, and so with the right catalyst, this can make a big move. Now, we've seen volume dry up significantly in this handle. We like to see that. Granted, a lot of that is because of the holidays, but still, it's doing everything it should. It's got strong fundamentals, and it's definitely one to keep on your radar.
Yep, that's right. And that is it for this year.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I guess, Justin, any final words heading into the new year for investors to be keeping in mind?
Well, I think the big thing is to make sure that you're being flexible. And, we talked about that earlier. Don't, just go with your thesis and think, nothing can go wrong with your idea. Be very open to what's happening in the market and adjust accordingly.
All right. Sounds great, everyone. We hope you've had a fantastic year. And we will see you right back here in 2020 on Thursday. See you then.